Hey everybody! Welcome back to our video series on 4 helpful tips to healthier and more effective communication, and thanks for joining in for our 4th and last video of the series. In our last 3 videos, we talked about assertiveness, open-mindedness, and empathy. In this video, we'll be ending the series by talking a little bit about active listening. So let's get to it. Healthy and effective communication is more than just relaying messages and talking to someone. It's also being able to listen, receive, and understand messages from those around you. When it comes to communicating in relationships, there's a big difference between just listening and active listening. In other words, there's a difference between simply hearing and really listening to what the other person is trying to tell you. Active listening involves you being able to put all of the above skills, assertiveness, open-mindedness, and empathy to use so you can actively, healthily, and effectively engage with the person you're communicating with. The difference between just listening and active listening is being able to take in the person's mood. How do they look when they're feeling a certain way? What do their facial expressions tell you? Don't be afraid to ask how someone is feeling if you really can't tell. Lean in, engage, and pay attention while the other person is talking. Reflect their expression. If they're talking about something serious or tragic, you probably don't want to have a huge grin on your face. Reflecting their facial expression and mood is a good sign of active listening. Respond back with encouragers. Encouragers are simple responses that show that you are actively listening. Simple gestures like nodding your head, saying uh-huh, yes, to show that you're listening, maintaining eye contact, and even asking questions are good signs that you are actively listening and encouraging the person to continue talking. If something wasn't clear, some ways to clarify could be simple as asking open-ended questions like, well, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like this? What was that like? Can you explain a little more? Reflecting the way a person might be feeling is another sign of active listening. Simple reflective statements usually include you possibly noticing something about the person, like, I can see that you're feeling pretty torn up over this. From what I can hear, you seem pretty stressed out over that. I can sense that something's off today. Is everything okay? Even validating statements are good signs of active listening. Statements that acknowledge the way a person is feeling could be statements like, wow, that really sounds hard. It must be difficult for you when that happens. That must be really upsetting. That would frustrate me too if that happened. It takes a lot of open-mindedness and empathy in order to really actively listen and validate the way a person is feeling, which, like all of these tips, takes time and practice. Now that we've gone over what active listening is and what it looks like, we do want to stress the difference between active listening and problem solving. Active listening is very different than problem solving and giving advice. Sometimes people might not want your advice and just want to be heard, while others might be seeking you out just for your advice. If you don't know what the person needs or wants, don't be afraid to ask. Do you want me to give you advice, or do you just want me to listen? Or both? And if you're talking with someone, don't be afraid to assert yourself and clearly state to them whether you want to just be heard or if you want advice, or both. If you and the person you're communicating with want to problem solve, focus on the specifics of the problem together and what kind of outcomes are desired. Who will do what? How often? When and where? What are some potential problems that could get in the way of this? And don't forget to follow up and remind one another while in the process of problem solving. Like with all that we've learned today, active listening takes time and practice, but it's achievable. No one is a master in the ways of communication because, as we've said earlier, communication is different for everyone. Remember, these tips don't get mastered in a day. It takes time, experience, and practice. You may be better at some skills than others, but overall, they are each meant to enhance the effectiveness and overall health of the way you communicate in all your relationships. In this video series, we've discussed the importance and benefits of assertiveness, open-mindedness, empathy, active listening and problem solving, and how these 4 tips can help with more healthy and effective communication with all your relationships. We hope you found these 4 tips helpful. We wish you the best of luck, and may the force be with you on your communication journey. Thanks for watching. Bye!